All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Ebro Lauren Rosenberg back on the program. Matter of fact, I would say this program, whether you've been watching or not, were we one of the first mainstream platforms to have you when you first got in office, Jamaal Bowman?
Yes, that is correct. I feel like I was on like the very next day.
I think so.
Yeah, like the very
Talking
next
hip-hop.
day. So
Talking hip-hop. Yo, yeah, listen, we was here for AOC, too. Laura Stiles came in one day and said there's this candidate that's really amazing. And she got great ideas, and she's not getting a lot of coverage. Let's have her on. Her name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
I remember.
Yep.
Remember?
Yeah, I missed the first one.
Yeah, we've done some great work up here. And Jamaal Bowman, I just want to say the things you talk about and the things you're trying to get done for your district, I've always found amazing and I think apropos. Unfortunately, today you are up against some very tough headwinds because it is not popular to be progressive right now because AIPAC says so.
That's correct. First of all, pause. You said headwinds, so pause on that.
Yo,
real quick.
really?
Whoa, hey,
Come
yo,
on, man.
Really, headwind,
Grow up,
really,
Jamaal.
Come on.
Yes, but we are up. I mean, what we're going through right now is literally unprecedented.
Yeah.
Never before in American history has a super PAC spent this much money in a primary. Never before in history. We're above 20 million, heading towards 30 million by close of business tomorrow, which is election day. So it's incredible, man. And simply because, you know, I'm calling for peace and justice and equality, you know, in Gaza, in Israel, in the Bronx, in Yonkers. Like, I just want people to live in peace and have their own self-determination.
I saw an ad, Jamaal, that said basically the ad was against you. I forget who it was by. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 different groups running TV campaigns against you, if I'm correct. And
Yes.
It said that you voted against the infrastructure bill or something because you have your own agenda. And it's not the people's agenda. Can you give us the insight here? What did you vote against that was against the people?
Yeah, so this was 3 years ago. It's a bill that passed. We didn't kill the bill, and all the resources are still coming in. But it wasn't Biden's full agenda, and it wasn't the people's agenda. They took out universal child care, universal pre-K, paid leave for the first time in history, historic investments in affordable housing, and lowering drug costs and increasing SSI. That was the president's full agenda. And votes are negotiating tools to hold people accountable to move forward with additional resources for our communities. And so that vote held Joe Manchin and the Senate accountable to move forward with the rest of President Biden's agenda, which ultimately became the Inflation Reduction Act, which has lowered prescription drug costs to $2,000 a year for seniors, capped insulin costs at $35 a month, and allows Medicare for the first time ever to negotiate drug prices. And oh, by the way, hundreds of billions of dollars in climate investments. And so that's how Congress works. We have a simple majority in the House. You need a super majority in the Senate. So you gotta take tough votes sometimes to get the attention, apply the pressure.
So to the claim, you did vote against it, which was to establish another play so that you could get more in the bill and vote for it later on.
Exactly right. And that day that we voted against it, we were supposed to vote on both at the same time. But my conservative friends who take all that corporate PAC money wanted to move forward without the rest of Biden's agenda. This was Joe Manchin killing the president's agenda, not me. I've worked with the president multiple times since I've been in. He's been to my district multiple times. I rode Air Force One and Marine One with the president, where he was sharing notes with one of his speeches with me so I could give him feedback before he addressed my district. So it's just an absurd claim, but because they have record amounts of money, I think, like I said, going towards $30 million, they can, continue to try to program people into thinking something else.
Well, let me ask you 2 back-to-back on that, if you don't mind. One, what do you say to people who really try to go after? There's a thing that I'm seeing a lot on the internet. We debate how much we think it's real and will affect the election in November. but there's a narrative being told about Biden being not for black people, and if you care about black issues, why would you ever support Joe Biden? Number one, how do you respond to that? And then number two, back to the AIPAC thing, I want to know, what do they really hope to gain? What, with all due respect, this is a huge body. What do they hope to gain by getting little old Jamaal Bowman out of office?
Yeah, so it's interesting on the Biden front. You know, during our first 2 years, we had a very successful first 2 years in Congress. You know, those were Biden's first 2 years. So we're talking about Chips and Science Act, Inflation Reduction Act, Safer Communities Act, like 4 or 5 bills that are really going to be transformational for the entire country and the black community in the coming years. However, because we don't have the like sort of instant gratification legislation that we could point to and say, you know, the president did this and this was the outcome for black people, there still leaves that wiggle room to criticize and say he's not for black people. But on the other side of it, I definitely would not argue that Trump is for black people, because he's not. Most of his stuff is pandering.
But his plan was platinum, baby.
Yeah, his plan was platinum, right? Platinum pandering. But his, what I have heard from black people about Trump in particular was like they feel like he's doing more on criminal justice reform stuff than Biden or the Democrats. Now, I disagree with that, and I think there could be a conversation to be had. But a lot of it, or most of it, is like propaganda, man. You put these narratives out there. Social media is driven by the reptilian part of your brain. So if it's sensationalized or it's drama, if it bleeds, it leads, it travels faster. And so it's out there. So we, meaning Democrats, have to respond. And I hope we respond more aggressively. In terms of AIPAC, they just want another bought and paid for politician, you know, with all due respect. They don't want every voice in Congress that speaks out in support of Gaza or Palestinians, they take as a threat to their power and position within the American politic. And so
but there are so many, but you're not alone. Like, why are they spending so much here? Like, even
like
though
Rashida Tlaib is Palestinian. I don't.
Correct.
Are they just like we can't even. Her district is too solid, so she's not vulnerable.
Yeah, like why you?
Her district is very solid, and she had a quarter where she raised like $4 million. So that would have been real uphill climb. This district, remember, it used to be Elliot Engel.
Right.
And so
the guy that inherited the job and didn't even have to run for election and then moved to Virginia and never was there.
Yeah.
And was there 31 years. And so there is a AIPAC stronghold in the district already that they can build from. And all of the elected officials, to the point where I think they're going to go in a moment, have been in that ecosystem, in that universe for a very long time, that AIPAC universe. So the infrastructure was there to go after, this, outspoken black man, for Palestinian rights. And they're doubling and tripling down. It's not easy. That's why they're spending so much damn money. But they figure the money plus the infrastructure, is going to lead them to victory. That's what
I also remember early on, after October 7th, you had gotten into a little bit of a thing where you would question some of the validity of some of the claims, and then I just want to be clear, as a Jewish person who supports you and thinks you do a great job, I knew there were some feathers that you ruffled at some point. How would you explain sort of what happened there in that short period after October 7th?
Yeah, unfortunately, we couldn't believe everything that was coming from Benjamin Netanyahu at the time, like all the information he was giving us. Right. And so there was a time where he was even giving information to the president, where the president was then repeating it, and then the White House had to walk it back. And so we couldn't trust that. So I publicly at one time questioned like some of the things that they said as being accurate. But as soon as the UN gave additional information, I immediately condemned it. And we're talking specifically about the sexual assault. As soon as the UN gave additional information, I condemned it, voted for the bill to condemn it. And that was that. We moved on. But Netanyahu, unfortunately, has been untrustworthy, not just now, but for many years. He was going to be taken to international court for war crimes even before now. And so we can't trust him, but we do trust the UN and other human rights organizations.
Absolutely.
Now, in your district, for the people voting tomorrow, What are your expectations on turnout? Is this going to be like, let's just do raw numbers, right? Because it is based on the population of the district, 25% actually turns out, usually.
Usually, maybe even lower than that sometimes. We're expecting very high turnout. It looks like the early voting numbers are indicating higher turnout this cycle than last cycle, which is really good for us, and higher turnout in places like Co-op City, Baychester, Edenwald, and Yonkers, which is really good for us. If that trend continues, that's exactly where we need to be. We knew from the beginning this was going to be a turnout race because we knew there was a certain part of the electorate that just wasn't going to vote for me at all. And we knew others who were, and we knew that we had a chance to grow those communities. And I'm talking specifically about people of color and people under 50, particularly in areas like Yonkers, Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, Co-op City, and Edenwald. And so if what we've been doing continues to work, meaning our ground game, that has been our focus from the beginning. Ground game and, of course, raising money. By the way, we've raised a record amount of money, but it looks like peanuts compared to what's being spent against us. But we have over a $4 million congressional campaign, which is actually really incredible. And I'm really proud of that, proud of the whole team for that. And so we've been able to tell our story too, but we've been investing a lot in the field. So knocking on doors, making calls,
going to see people.
Yeah, going to meet people one-on-one. Because when you have those one-on-one conversations, and as soon as people feel your energy and hear your response, they're like, oh, I knew that was BS with us on TV. And then we keep it moving.
What I guess the last question here for us today. Remember, everybody get out there and vote. Look, I'm always interested when there is a bunch of rich folks who are interested in taking out the little guy. I'm always like, wait, whoa. What's going on here? But the question that needs to be answered is, what did you do? What are the headlines, the things you were able to achieve for your district, and where did you fall short? And I want to hear you critique yourself.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. What have I been able to achieve? We brought in well over $1 billion to the district, focused specifically on the areas that the district cares about most. So 40 million to reduce gun violence, 88 million to respond to the flooding in the district and do something about climate justice, tens of millions for education, healthcare, particularly mental health, workforce development, helping Co-op City to refinance, freeing up 126 million to administer much needed repairs, building a health community center, neighborhood community center in the Northeast Bronx for the first time in history, investing in millions in the YMCA, YWCA, Boys and Girls Club, because families kept telling us that there's no place for the kids to go. We've made a concerted effort to take a collective public health approach to governing. What that means is invest in education, invest in affordable housing, invest in workforce development, invest in mental health, healthcare, substance abuse. When you do that, you're going to see crime go down, which is what we have seen since I've gotten into office, and you're going to see economic opportunity increase. That's how you do a small level of reparations, if you will, until the big money comes.
I mean, you trying to get votes, or are you trying to be divisive here? What are you doing? Bringing up reparations. See, this
we
got
to repair the harms. And where I've fallen short is I'm not a good retail politician.
What's that mean?
So that means I'm not good at calling this Democratic club leader to have a coffee and make sure they like me and build a relationship with them. I haven't been good at that. Like, I'm an educator and a middle school principal. So what we do is we identify challenges and work to solve those challenges. And if you happen to enter my universe as we're working together to do that, then let's work together. If you just want to be political and have coffees and go to backslapping conferences, like, I'm not with that, Like, that, to me, that's a waste of time. Why are we backslapping when 14-year-old kids getting shot in the chest in Leviston Towers and Mount Vernon at 10 a.m. in the morning? To me, that presents a sense of urgency where we need to stop, giving each other awards at dinners and figuring out how to keep our kids safe and alive and give them access and opportunity to the American dream.
Oh, here you go trying to kick knowledge.
I mean, but at the same time, backslapping, you do have to learn to backslap.
You don't even like backslapping. You're mad sensitive.
No, by the way, me? Oh, my back's mad sensitive. But I will say, over time, though, every field does have the politics part.
Yeah.
You got to do some of that.
You got to do some of that. Because some of it is just...
Absolutely.
Yo, but are you voting against Jamaal Bowman because he wasn't at the awards banquet?
No. No, but you just want to find allyship. I think that's something we've seen even with AOC over the last couple of years. I think she came out at first and it was just like, everyone could catch these shots. And then as time's gotten on, I think she's still aggressive, but found her lanes to
I'm shocked that AIPAC hasn't gone for AOC. The conversation,
they did. I mean, they did her first term. She.
Because she was up here. She was up here with me and Rosenberg, and we was giving Netanyahu the business. That was like 6 years ago.
Nobody cared about that issue back then. It wasn't hot on. It wasn't hot on IG back then.
It wasn't hot on the gram. So.
Well, let me also just say one thing. So. Rosenberg, you're absolutely right. Like, I have to get better at that. And I'm going to try to get better at that.
You even did the politician hand.
He did it when he said...
Yeah, he had the thumb down. He didn't point. He tucked the finger and did the thumb thingy.
Yeah.
That's the clinic. So I'm going to try. But let me give you an example of why it continues to be hard for me. I think you all know intuitively why. But I'm going to give you a very clear example. I went to an event once. I'm not going to say the organization or where it was. I went to this event and I walk in and there's 3 white guys having a conversation around a table where they're talking about how the founding fathers were some of the greatest men and humans of all time. And I'm kind of listening, but not really paying attention. I'm minding my business. But one of them pulls me in and they say, Jamaal, what do you think? Do you think the founding fathers are some of the greatest humans of all time? I said, no, I don't think so. They say, why? I'm like, because they own slaves. And they said, well, they're not perfect. So the way in which they shrugged their shoulders and dismissed the owning of slaves to an African-American person was like, okay, y'all are wilding. Let me get out of here. So just so y'all know, and y'all know this already, a lot of this political backslapping calls for me to suppress my blackness and my black consciousness. Mm-hmm. And I refuse to do that. Like, just to say it out loud, I'm tired of living under white supremacy, yo. Yeah. I'm tired of living under colonialism. I'm tired of living under the idea of whiteness as being superior. I think it hurts white people who buy into that, and it hurts everybody. And can we just please be human and not live under that? And can white people who live under that like catch themselves and realize you talking to a black man?
Well, but let me push back on this one part of it, because I agree with everything you're saying. What if in that moment, though, because I would not want to be in the country club sounding environment that you're describing, not the kind of conversation I would enjoy either, but obviously it's different for you as a black man, but does it give you an opportunity there to say what you just said to us to them?
Yeah, Rosenberg, you know this, man. I'm 48 years old. How many conversations, especially as an educator,
well, you signed up. You've had a million of them, but you just signed up for years more.
What Rosenberg is saying to you right now.
Why I keep educating white people?
Rosenberg is saying to you right now is the same shit people say to me when they're like, yo, you should have so-and-so on your show and have a conversation.
No, it's different.
And I'm like, man, fuck them.
Yeah, but it's different.
I don't need to have a conversation. I got to have a conversation. Yo, these are elected politicians, intellectuals, supposedly, allegedly, probably. They don't have enough. The problem is they didn't even have enough awareness of themselves and also have so much privilege that they don't even have to consider how their language may have affected the person whose literal bloodline was affected by what they were talking about.
Agreed.
They didn't have to give a fuck, but he has to be the one. But that's the problem, bro.
But you can't. But that's unfixable. So, do you want to be effective or not? Us having Candace Owens does nothing, but him having good conversations with these a-holes could be effective.
But the problem he's having is it shouldn't be on him.
It shouldn't be. But he just
the reason he's gonna win tomorrow is because everybody listening to this conversation is gonna be like, yeah, Fuck them. Send Jamaal Bowman black ass back up there. Let's get it popping.
I 100% agree
Let's
with
get
you.
it fucking popping.
But
because it's
Rosenberg,
on white people to fix these problems. It ain't on black people. Black people make up 14% of the fucking population.
I agree, but
If
he
you
signed
want-
up to be a congressman.
It
So hit
doesn't
him with the
matter.
button. You're working with the white man. This is the devil's house. What are you doing? You want to bring? You think all of a sudden if we just get hot about it, it's not going to do it? These are the people he signed up to go
Nah,
to work
fuck
with.
them. Fuck them. Keep walking
Yo,
out.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is his colleague. That's your
That's
people's.
your friend, your
That's your
coworker.
friend.
You see her at the water cooler. Y'all
Lord-
share a fridge.
I have
your
more-
sandwich is in the same fridge as Marjorie Taylor Greene. What do you have to say for yourself?
I have Laura Stiles. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene.
This is the constant tension right here. Like this is exactly what it is. And so my hope, my prayer, and what I believe is more people in the district are people of conscience and righteous and want to see the country move forward in the, Jamaal Bowman, Ebro, Laura, Rosenberg direction of the country versus what those three were talking about, which is those are the three who are trying, they're a part of the network trying to buy this election from the people. And we think tomorrow that we've done enough field work that we're going to pull this out when they call.
So you think
the winner
between
tomorrow.
Edenwald, Co-op City, and where else, if they turn up?
Yeah, Edenwald, Co-op City, and Baychester, Mount Vernon, Yonkers, New Rochelle. If they turn up, and everything is indicating that they will, especially if we keep pushing it out today and tomorrow. If that happens, we win big. And again, it's because we got enough support in other areas of the district as well. Not in some areas, but in a lot of areas, we got a lot of support.
Listen, Jamaal Bowman, go ahead, bro.
Good
We
luck,
appreciate
bro.
You. Keep
Good
working,
luck.
man.
Thank
Keep
you, man.
working.
Peace.
Love you,
Talk to
brother.
y'all
Love
soon.
you.
Love you too. Peace.
Take care,
talk
bro.
soon.
Keep doing your thing.